me know how many we got?
Yeah, we're live. This is chilling with Vito and Dave.
Are
So,
you Super Dave or I'm sorry, I fucked up the intro. Go ahead.
am I Super Dave? I don't know if I'm super.
Do you want a nickname like Super Dave?
I don't care. I
All right,
really, if you want to make a nickname, I'll take it.
all right. So it's Super Dave from now on. It's Super Dave. Do you know who Super Dave is?
No, who's Super Dave?
You don't know who Super Dave is?
No.
Super Dave was the greatest stuntman that ever existed. He made Evil Knievel look like a. Look up Super Dave Osborne, and he is the greatest. Absolutely the greatest. He had his own show, man. The
Super
greatest.
Super Dave
Super Dave
Osborne.
Osborne. Yeah, greatest. Don't do it now because it's kind of rude. You looking up stuff because I'm looking at porn right now. So look at um, uh, afterwards. Look up Super Dave Osborne and you'll freak out. You'll say, "Holy shit! That this is the greatest stuntman that has ever existed."
But it says he's a character.
You looked him up for fuck's sakes.
Of course, I looked him up. Did you honestly think I wasn't going to look it up?
All right. Anyways, he was the worst stuntman that ever existed on the planet.
And you said you were looking at porn, so yeah, of course I was going to look it up.
All right.
So,
So
hey, spooky bed hairs in the outside chat. So
is Spooky a girl?
no,
Um,
I'm pretty sure Spooky's a guy.
okay. All right. Spooky bed hair. I should come up with a fake name. I should come up with a fake name. I got too many people that know my real name. It's kind of freaky. All right. So can you call me Vito D'Amico?
Vito D'Amico.
Yes.
That's what I normally call you anyway.
Damn it, that's a horrible nickname then. That's just I always pick the worst names. All right, so can I tell you about my interview today?
Sure, go ahead.
All right, so a lot of people that don't know, I had an interview with Kay Parker, who was the she was the famous porn star of the late 70s, and I believe she quit in 1985. That's what she told me today. Now she was convinced that she was from a past life, like 5,000 years ago. She was a high priestess of um, a high priestess of Egypt. So it was like odd. And anytime I tried to push her on it to say, like what are you talking about? She would like change the subject. So yeah, it was one of those interviews, and at the very end of the interview, I had to, which I hate doing because I think it's not fair when you interview somebody and then talk kind of not bad behind them, but you kind of say what you thought of the interview and what your thoughts were, and my thoughts were like not that she was crazy or anything like that. I just thought, I don't know, it was very odd. It was just one of those, yeah, like you telling people that they come from, one of the points she made was that she believed that we come from other planets, our souls come from other planets, and I was like, so you're talking like Scientology kind of thing? She's like, no, 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 and I'm like, oh well, then she would cut me off because I was like, she didn't want to get into it, but I would kept telling her. See, once the problem is once people think when you call yourself the Wrecking Crew comedy podcast, they think you're going to make fun of them. because they're like, oh, he's going to be a jerk to me. And I kept reassuring her that that's not the end game for me. I really want to know what what you believe, and please tell me why you believe this. But she wouldn't go, she wouldn't go past that. So um, it was weird conversation where you're like, um, yeah, man, like she clearly did a lot of cocaine in the 70s and early 80s for sure.
Yeah, but even cocaine doesn't make you think you're from another planet.
Well, she thinks like she has a wellness center where people come to her, and you got to remember, um, uh, we live in a time where people want answers. I guess we've always uh, lived at a time like that where people want answers to shit. I guess that's why, um, what are they, psychics? People would have psychic parties because they wanted answers. And her thing was, why people feel why people feel the way they do is because that they come from another planet, and you don't really belong here because your soul belongs in your spirit belongs in, from another planet. And yeah, so it was like one of those interviews where you're trying not, like, I was trying my best not to be rude, and I wasn't rude to her, you know. But she kept saying time is of the essence, and it was funny because she granted me an hour interview, and within 30 minutes she said, when it's time to go, because I never look at the clock, I go, you let me know when it's time to go by saying time is of the essence. But she didn't know I had my phone. I rarely bring my phone with me because I always forget, to turn off the ringer. So I had my phone, and I looked at the time, and I'm like 30 minutes into this thing, and she wants out. And that's because I was asking her questions about, you know, her beliefs, and she wouldn't elaborate on that. And I'm like, if I explained my beliefs to her, why I didn't believe in certain things, why I'm more of a agnostic atheist, more leaning towards atheist than I was a Catholic, and why I changed over. So I was giving her, I didn't want the interview to be about me, but I wanted her to feel comfortable enough to know that this is why I feel the way I feel. And maybe if that, she would see that, and then she would say, okay, well, he's being honest with me. He's not, he's telling me why he feels the way he does. And then, because I even said, so if I came to your center, how would you help me? Like if I said, I don't feel like I'm from here, or blah, blah, blah. And she never really answered that fully, or gave me an answer that I was, where I thought, yes, that's a good answer. That's, we got a winner here. It wasn't one of those. So it was weird. And at the end of the interview, um, I had to, which I hate. I've never done this before. I had to say why, um, my thoughts were on the interview. I pulled a Sam Harris. So I did the whole, this is why, what I thought of the interview. And, I wasn't really satisfied with the answers. So anyways, so how was your day?
My day was actually really good, but it, in doing an op-ed on the end of of an interview is kind of bad form, like you said. But at the same time, when it is it does so go far off the rails from what you expected.
Well, you saw the comment where the guy said, I turned it off halfway through.
Right.
And I had to reply. I had to reply and say, I wish you'd listen to the whole thing, because I explained at the ending why, why certain things happened. Because in a feeling, Dave, I had that feeling where I just thought people are just going to go, this woman's fucking nuts, and just turn off, which I myself, I enjoy listening to kooky people, but I don't like listening to people that are kooky and are trying to sell kookiness. You know what I mean? Like, I don't mind if somebody's kooky, but if you're trying to sell, hey, this is going to help you out if you, um, uh, if you come to one of my seminars, this is going to help you out, then that's where I have a problem with. And I wasn't going to. I mean, the whole thing was for her. There's a new documentary about her. So uh, that was the point of the interview, to kind of let people know about the documentary. But I was like, you've been asked this a million times. I like my interviews to be a little more different. And I wasn't into this whole yes, oh yeah, yeah, sure. Like, I'm gonna ask questions, and I hope somebody doesn't understand what I'm talking about. Please ask. The worst thing is uh, uh, not um, not answering a question. I think that's kind of, who's that dickhead? Darwin's deity? Yeah, like that fucking loser. You get a parasite like that doesn't answer a fucking simple question. All he does is just, uh, you know.
Then he has the audacity to tell you you don't understand and make you feel like shit.
Oh, I never feel like shit with that guy. I just,
Oh no,
I
no, but he tries. He tries. Have you listened to him try to talk to some people who actually
oh yeah,
entertain
I've
him?
I've had it out with him. I've completely threatened his life. you
Yeah,
know, which I mean, that's the wrong way to go about it. But I mean, I get to the point where it's like, you're a piece of shit. And if you're not going to respect me, then I have no respect for you. So fuck off. If I ever see you, I'm going to beat the fuck out of you. So,
he's a presuppositionalist, but straight up, he's just, and he's very arrogant. He talks down to people. He tries to
oh,
tell them,
the way he speaks, David, is very rude.
yeah,
David, I'm not finished, David.
David,
I'm not
Vito,
finished.
Vito. I'm not done.
I'm not. Yeah, I need to.
You don't
I
understand,
You
Vito.
don't
Vito.
listen. Who is in charge here? Because if I'm not gonna uh, be able to answer the question, then there is no point in having a conversation with you.
Yeah,
But
like
okay,
that.
you just interrupted me again.
Yeah,
May I finish? May I finish? May I finish? And you feel like going, I'm going to strangle the fuck out of this guy when I see him. You know.
yeah.
I mean, the guy's a parasite. He really is. He's just a parasite.
Well, he came the first time I interacted with him. I was watching.
Oh, you've talked to him?
Well, not directly talk, but I was actually in a chat with over on Heretic Woman's channel, Atheists Beyond the Trailer Park,
Right.
and she does that show late nights. I think, in fact, I think she's due to start one here.
What is that? Is it a beer?
No, that's an energy drink.
Oh, is it a Red Bull? Is it a Red Bull?
No, it's a
Don't
monster.
don't let me guess. Don't let me guess. Is it Monster?
Yeah.
I knew it because you said Monster before you let me finish. Damn it! I
Damn
came
it.
so close.
Okay, so what kind of monster is it?
It's the green one.
Eh.
Monster Energy drink. Oh, fuck, I don't know, and I don't care.
It's the Assassin's Creed one.
Assassin's Creed.
Yeah.
I don't play video games.
Yeah, that's probably why I didn't guess that. But anyway.
It's a video game, right?
Yeah,
I mean,
Assassin's Creed is a video game.
right? Because who was it? You had the other day I was watching your channel and you were playing video games, and I thought, the fuck am I doing? Why am I watching a grown man? I'm a grown man watching another grown man play a fucking video game.
play a fucking video game. Yeah.
I'm like, holy shit.
Some people enjoy that. Like Godless Engineer will play video games, and I'll watch him play a game.
Oh
And
no, I can't. I can't. My son does that, and I'm like, just stop it. Like, just play the game, or don't watch other people play games. It's weird.
yeah, it's I've actually been doing it for quite some time. Like watching other, like I used to go over to my friend's house, and you know, I'm kind of embarrassed to actually play it. I used to be embarrassed to play like coordination type games that required lots of coordination.
Right.
Anything beyond like Super Mario Brothers kind of messes with my hand-eye coordination. I suck. Is basically what I'm trying to say. So, I own Destiny 2, but you won't catch me playing it very often. I own Cuphead, but you won't catch me playing that very often either. It's going to take me a long time to feel confident playing those games because I haven't picked up anything more than a Nintendo controller in years. So,
Well, what we used to do was the only way I would watch somebody play a video game was if we're playing doubles and before arcades. This is dating myself, but you go to an arcade and you would have your smoke. Remember, they used to have ashtrays. You'd burn half the game. And you would just watch your buddy play, and when he died, you would play, and
when you died, he played, and
yeah.
You
so it was kind of fun.
Yeah, I remember arcades. You used to have a place called Aladdin's Castle in Colorado Springs.
Oh, I used to go to a place called Fabio's Cafe, and that's where you met like the easy broads. They would go there, and you would, everybody would you'd be playing a game, and whatchamacallit, yeah, like there would be like, that's where you would socialize with people, right? And that's I think that's what's missing.
Right. And you would actually go there and you would want to play the most popular game, right? There were these there were the old games, like you go there in the mid 80s and you're talking, there were newer games like, what was that one that was it was the one that was a video disc. It was Dragon's Lair. Remember that?
I remember that. Yeah, the one where you had to
do it a certain way or you died.
Oh, I hated that fucking game, and it used to cost $1 to play that.
Yeah, it was like 4 times as much as just your average stick a quarter in and play game.
Yeah.
And then then you had your average games, which is like Flicka, Pac-Man, Cubert, those type of games like Centipede and so forth. And you could always get in on those pretty easy. But then you had other ones like the 2-quarter games, which are relatively popular. But that's, if you could play one of those good, that's what the chicks go for. And chicks would hang out with those, and if you could play those well and you looked good, they would go for you.
Yeah, they would. Usually I would spill my drink all over their tits. Like it was a Coca-Cola, and then I would just go oh, sorry, and then they would go, you did that, like, this is like the 3rd time today you've done that. And then it's like, I know, I'm sorry, it's just, you got nice tits.
Good times back in the 80s. And then of course, the movie theater, this was in the mall, so the movie theater was like on the other end, the other side of that wing of the mall, so like it was right next door to it. And so you could, if you picked up one of the girls, you could literally go and watch a movie right there.
No, a lot of women would, I don't know. Some of them would always play like hard to get, and then it was a lot of begging going on with me. Like it was always like, come on, like just fucking like what just come on. No, I was very shy with girls, and I didn't. I would always make them laugh. So that's how I would always get a date. The girl would always say, "That guy there, what was that guy's name?" And they would say just. Plus, I was a good-looking kid, so they would always go, "Yeah, I like him. Tell him I like him." Used to be one of those deals. Tell him I like him, and then they would tell me, a buddy would say, "Oh, by the way, that girl likes you, that redhead." And I'm like, "Does she got big tits?" And and they were like, "Well, what's your deal with tits?" And I'm like, "I just whatever." So it didn't matter. But I there was this girl. She was a beautiful redhead. God, she had just do you like freckles?
On the right face, yeah.
I love freckles. I think they're to me freckles on a woman. I think are just the cutest thing in the world. And I fell in love with this girl. Her name was Lisa, and she had these uh, freckles. And she smelled just, oh God, she smelled wonderful. And I used to uh, follow her home and smell her. No, I used to, whenever she'd walk by, uh, I would smell her uh, because she smelled like vanilla, and it was like it's weird. I know that sounds weird, but when you're a kid, little things like that just get you going. You know, you remember uh, uh, you remember stuff like that. About your childhood.
Well, yeah, there's certain people you remember that stand out more than others. There's certain smells, certain places.
Yeah, do you ever notice that whenever uh, you ever notice that like you remember um, stuff like it's like listening to a song for the very first time that you uh, um, yeah, like you would remember stuff like how do you put it? You would remember the smell, the day, if it was sunny out, if it was dark. And you asked me like what I was doing yesterday, and I was getting pissed drunk, but it was St. Patty's Day, so. But I don't get drunk on St. Patty's Day. I don't drink like I used to.
Oh
Uh,
no, I'm too old for that shit anymore. It's just
yeah, I know.
it's too much for me. I can't do headaches like on Monday.
No, I know. I don't know how people do that. Like, I enjoy, um, I enjoy a little bit of wine. I like my white wine, but I don't. Um, I don't drink. Like I'm not into, hey, let's do shots and for some reason people are always, especially in stand up, they would always come up to me with cocaine and go, "Do you want to do some coke?" And for some reason they thought I was a fucking cokehead. And um
And see, I've actually used cocaine before, not extensively. Like I had like a
oh
month,
no.
like a couple months. I did it, and it wasn't like a lot at each time. Like I'd get those little tiny little baggies, tiny little baggies, like like a gram at most at a time. And I tell you what, you spend that kind of money on a drug to the point where, oops, I missed a car insurance payment, and
Yeah.
it really wakes you up. It does.
Well,
And it's
uh
like okay, I'm done. I'm not doing that anymore. And I was like, okay, that was my wake up call. This is a very it's a very insipid little drug, and it makes you feel good. It does. But at the same time, it's definitely not worth the price, and it's definitely you know, it seems like the one drug or the one thing that you're not allowed to do, which is marijuana, is it's marijuana would be cheap. It's affordable. Like anybody could afford marijuana if they really want to do it. I don't have a problem with people doing marijuana. I used to live in Colorado where it was recreational, and I actually had a medicinal card because I'm epileptic. So
You're epileptic?
yes,
So what triggers that?
lack of sleep, one.
Oh,
Too much alcohol, so that's another reason I don't really get drunk anymore. Although I will drink on occasion. And see, there's just a couple other things that trigger it, but I'm not like one of
is
those.
that what the doctors told you?
What do you mean? What they told me?
Like, did they say you were having an epileptic seizure is because you drank too much?
No, but I've noticed that when I drink, or if I drink too much, I tend to have them.
Oh,
Like I would tend to have a seizure after drinking to excess when I was in college. So I kind of quit doing that rather quickly.
right.
More so than other people my age normally would. And I tended to, I buckled down and studied more. Basically, is what it boiled down to. And I got through I got through my 2 year, my associates. I got in 6 months. It's a 2 year degree. I got it in 6 months. And my bachelor's, I got that in. See, that was. I want to say I got that. The next 2 years, I got it in less than two. So I was cruising through school basically. I wasn't wasting any time.
Right.
That's for damn sure. Although I'm thinking about going back here.
Like, did you want to be an engineer or something?
Well, yeah, I definitely wanted to be an engineer. I went for computer engineering, and now I work on designing microprocessors. So,
Hey, do you know anything about gears?
what about them? Like,
No, then I'll show you afterwards. I'll show you something, and then um, you tell me if you have any ideas, okay? But it has to be on I have to show you on Facebook Hangout so you see it. Because for me to explain it, you wouldn't have a clue what I'm talking about. And maybe you have an idea that could help out. So, but I didn't know you had seizures. I had no idea.
Max. Anybody who know who Max
Yeah,
is?
Max. Oh God,
Hold on. Let me
I
present
invited
you.
him out of pity, and I had no idea he was going to come in here. God, it's Max. I got to put some clothes on. Jesus, he's a perv.
Yeah, this
Hi,
is
Max.
Hey
Hi,
guys.
Max. This
I
is
just
Max.
Hey, Max.
I'm not going to use his real name. His real name is Amy Adler. So we won't use that name. We're just going to call him Max. Okay.
I always
So
felt well, I
well,
always
let's
your name is
Max is, I believe, Jewish. So we will talk about Max. Are you Jewish?
I mean, the nose might confuse some people, but no, I'm not Jewish.
Wait, are you the Max I had a hangout with Tyler Durden?
Oh yeah, a while ago, most likely. But no, Catholic, just to answer your question really quickly. And I do feel like an Amy at heart, so I'm okay with that.
All right. Well, I've done. He's great, Max. Max used to help me out when I couldn't find anybody. He's great for He was in the famous Matt Bell. I needed
Oh, we like Max.
yeah, Max is great. I had to do a um I had to I'm gonna invite Sam Roth. Is that okay with you guys or no?
Yeah.
I don't know who he
Uh,
is, but go
um.
ahead.
All right, I'm gonna see
Well,
if Sam's into it.
I
So
know. I know Sam.
um
He's a good guy.
let me invite him. So with Max was great because with the Matt Bell, I wanted Matt Bell um with Matt Bell. I wanted somebody on there that uh, uh, would be like a God believer, and Max believes in God, right?
Yeah,
So
Yep.
uh, uh, let me write down. Sam doesn't get what the link's for. For Hangout. What's the link for? Hangout. You're gonna say topic. What the topic is? I don't know. Tits.
Chilling with Vito is what I put as for the title of the show.
Great, great. I'll put that. Chillin'. It's called Chillin'
With Vito.
with. How do you spell Vito?
I don't know, Vito. How do you spell Vito?
All right, chilling with Vito. There we go. All right, so if he doesn't come, that means he is just not a good person. And anytime you hear his name, you yell at God and say, "Why? Why?" So the beauty with Max, and I love that picture. He looks like
He looks like what?
Freddie Mercury.
Yeah, I think that's the intent. But Vito went away. I don't know what happened to him.
Yeah. Neither do I.
But yeah, I was actually behind the Great Debate Community banner when you did the after show of Antonio Fletcher and Shannon Q. That was
Oh.
me.
Oh. Good. Oh. I. I remember liking that banner.
Well, yeah, but you were in there with Tyler Durden at like really late. He was doing the whole psychodrama with you, which I thought
Uh.
was quite interesting, to be honest with you. See, I'm just your pretty much garden variety atheist, but he's kind of
He's a Satanist.
yeah. Well, I know. Vito, he came back. I think he had some kind of
Satanists are like the second most edgy atheists I know. The first ones being Ayn Randian objectivists.
uh, I like Tyler though. He's really a lot of fun.
I actually have a respect for Tyler.
Vito, where'd you go, Vito? What's wrong with your computer? Did you mute
We
your
can't hear
mic?
you. We can't hear you, buddy. Try try unplugging and plugging it again.
Have you tried turning it off and back on? No, we can't hear you. Which is really weird because he was just talking, all of a sudden he wasn't. But yeah, anyway, that was a kind of an oddball direction for that to go, especially since it was Antonio Fletcher. It was a talk about a non sequitur.
Yeah, some of those happen. So, why are you guys discussing epilepsy? Is that the reason I was brought in? Because I am an epileptic, or I
Oh
guess seizures.
no, we were actually discussing it because we had started on cocaine, and I said I had tried it for a while, but like 2 months, and I was like, it's expensive and it hooks you in. It's a very seductive drug. And I said, the ones you can't do are the ones that are super controlled, like alcohol and weed, are the ones that are actually beneficial. And like because I mentioned I was epileptic, and because I lived in Colorado for a while, and I actually had a license to do it medicinally. Um, I don't know what the heck is up with his machine. We'll just wait for him to reboot, maybe.
Another thing, maybe it's a settings thing. Sometimes you could actually switch microphones. If he needs to, he can use a built-in microphone into his laptop as opposed to maybe an external microphone that he's using.
Maybe. I don't know. I don't know what happens to his machine sometimes.
Vito, try
Vito.
use. Hey Vito, if you could hear me, try using your built-in microphone, the one in your laptop, maybe as opposed to an external one, or try using an external one if you're already using an internal microphone. You could switch it through the settings.
I hear something. That might be you, though. Hey, Blue.
It is me.
Hey, Blue. How are you doing? Blue might have left.
Oh, was Blue in here? I don't see him.
He's in the outside chat and on the YouTube side of stuff. Anyway, so yeah, that's why we were talking about epilepsy, because he started asking me, what triggers it, stuff like that, and I was like, well, for me, it's a lot of it's lack of sleep. Of course, when I'm off my meds, that triggers it. Obviously, if I forget a dose or two,
right,
it just really messes me up. It's also why I have a service dog, because he'll let me know about 30 minutes before I have one. Because I don't have anything resembling an aura, which kind of sucks, because if I had an aura, if you have aura, they'll let you get a license. Let's see if we can hear him now.
Oh, the microphone's muted.
He's muted, yeah. Unmute yourself. Rito. Anywho. If we can't get him back in working, this isn't going to last very long.
Yeah.
So what have you been up to?
Right now, I am just writing up some talking points for a presentation on social justice for university. And by social justice, I mean the Catholic notion of social justice, not social justice as stuff that SJWs like to talk about.
Okay. So are you writing it from a unbiased perspective, or are you writing it from a particular point of view?
I'm writing it from. I'm just giving an overview of it. Just the notion of what Catholics mean by social justice and how it's been influenced in Catholic activism. So essentially, Catholic social justice has this notion of subsidiarity, where where you have a large society, but it's constructed of smaller units. The most basic unit is the family, and then you have the smaller community, or the charsi. Then you have the potrasi, which is the larger community. Think of the nation state, and then you have the entrasi, which is humanity as a whole. Starting with the family unit and going upward, each portion is kind of like the auxiliaries within the Roman legion. Each one is directed towards some good, and that's its own particular responsibility. And let's say the family, that's the father, and the mother raising children. The job of the mother and father is to raise the child, and the locality cannot come in to that relationship. They have absolutely no right to, unless they can make a justified case that the family has been disordered to a point where there is no more good being achieved. Think of cases like spousal abuse.
Right, or
You,
like child abuse or just neglect in general or something along those lines would take precedence over that.
basically, but it would be immoral of the locality to take children away from their parents and to raise them through a common schooling mechanism. That would be considered to be a violation of the family's of the rights of the family. Then you have the larger community or the nation, and the locality has certain rights and privileges that the nation should not come into or get rolled over, because who's best to handle the local community than people locally
My
governing
back
in the
end.
municipalities?
My back end. For
Yes, you are.
fuck's
We can hear you.
sake.
Yeah, we can hear you.
Yeah.
We can hear you.
All right, I'm just gonna check if my Firefox is off. Yeah, it's off. What did I miss? Did Max talk shit about me?
Max has been talking shit about you the whole time.
Fucking unbelievable. I can't take it. I just can't take it.
I said some positive things about you, like how your dick size is so small it makes mine look normal by comparison. So thank you.
It's not really a compliment, Max, and you know that. You think I'm stupid?
Yes.
It is kind of a compliment. I'll give you that. All right. I thought about it. You're right. Okay. So what did I miss?
Nothing. I was just talking about a class project.
Yeah, we kind of put the whole thing on hold for you.
That's great. That's Max's.
I mean, it is chilling with Vito. It is chilling with Vito. It's kind of hard to chill with Vito without, well, Vito.
Yeah. Yeah. I'm sorry, guys. I'm just not. I don't know. Getting back to the cocaine thing. You know what a guy said to me about the cocaine?
What?
And he was a great guy. He said to me, he goes, and I'm thankful that he said this to me. He said, if you do cocaine, it makes you feel like God. And when he said that to me, it scared the living shit out of me. Because I said, if I'm going to feel that powerful, then I want nothing to do with it.
I wouldn't go that far, although, of course, I never did a whole lot at once. It's not like I did lines or anything. I just did little, bumps, they call them. Just little, you take a little bit and
Oh no! I was at a party. They pull out a bowl, and it would be like you think to yourself, fucking Rick James is gonna walk in any minute.
No, I never got that deep into it. You know what did it for me is somebody said that she would sit there on the bed, and she would sit there for 5 hours just doing cocaine for 5 hours straight.
No, you destroy your life.
Then she would sit there for 5 hours and do nothing.
Right.
Except
that's pretty much my life. Yes.
Except sitting there for 5 hours and feeling good. And then she would, she wouldn't go to the bathroom. She would need for 5 days, basically, after that.
Did she have children?
No.
Oh, thank goodness.
Thank goodness, right?
Like,
and then she go to, she wouldn't go to the bathroom, nothing for 5 days.
She wouldn't go to the bathroom for 5 days?
She wouldn't do anything for 5 days. Scared the living piss out of me to say, okay, if I go down this path, that's going to be me if I keep doing this shit.
Yeah, like if you ever look up pictures of people that were on cocaine and then it shows them 5 years later and it's the same person, it looks like two totally different people.
Yeah.
And it's horrible because you have a beautiful girl or, okay looking guy, and they look nothing. They look used up, and it's horrible. It's a horrible drug.
Indeed. It's to me, it was, when I got it, when I was using it, it gave me I literally couldn't stop talking. I got diarrhea of the mouth. I just blah 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 blah. For hours, I would talk to somebody and not stop talking. I wouldn't let them get a word edgewise.
Well, yeah, well, that's what Coke does to you.
Yeah.
I have no frame of reference to talk about cocaine use, so I'm going to be kind of silent for this. Sorry, guys.
Yeah, well, Max is an acid freak. He drops acid all the time. He is fucking crazy.
That'll keep you quiet.
He is. I did acid with Max once. I swear to you. He thought he could fly. And I was like, we were at an Iron Maiden concert.
Ooh,
and
that's a good place to do acid, though.
I was like, Max is like, let's jump. And because we had shitty seats. And I was like, Max, we're fucking 50 feet in the air. And he's like, we could fly. We could fly. And I'm like, Max, we can't. And he kissed me on the lips. And then he literally flew. And it was the most beautifulest thing I've ever seen in my life. It was wonderful.
You know, Vito, I think you're old enough to be Max's dad, Vito.
Then again, it could have just been the acid, but...
Yes, then again, it could have been the acid.
It could have been the acid.
I asked Max to help me out during I wanted to do a interview with
Matt Bell?
Matt Bell, that's it. And I wanted to be fair that Matt Bell didn't feel that I was going to be rude or anything like that. So Max is going to be that buffer, and also he could, if he said I was being rude, then I would respect that, and he could, a moderator I wanted, right? And do you remember that, Max? He was such a fucking dick to me that I was like, God forgives, I don't. You are a fucking parasite, pal. And then it was really weird. 6 months later, we were in a hangout, and it ended up just me and him in there. And he came on to me. He actually touched me. No, we were in a hangout, and I just said to him, I go, he was talking about, God and stuff, and as usual, God, what a boring subject. And he just goes, I just said to him, I go, what they were talking about earlier, I said, Matt, I have no idea. This is beyond my, I can't go back and forth with you. And he was like, no, I understand. He was actually being very nice to me. So I guess depending on, he's a weird duck. So I don't know if he's always an asshole or if he's sometimes good or sometimes depending on what pills he's on that day. I guess that's what it depends on.
What's his channel name? Because I'm looking for him now.
It's Matt Bell Sucks Cock 44 Magnum.
No, because I mean, do you know how many Matt Bells there actually are on Facebook?
How many of them? Yeah, but how many of them suck cock or
exactly? That's what I was about to say, Max. See, this is why I said to you we should go into a comedy team together, like juggling. Can you juggle?
I actually do.
Okay, great. Then we're set. The whole act will be you consisting of juggling. I'll pull down your pants. People will laugh. We'll get about 20 minutes out of that deal. And then we'll come up with other tricks. We'll saw Matt Bell's penis in half, which I don't know if a lot of people could see that, but people in the back won't, because they'll think it's like one of those little German wiener schnitzels. So we'll figure something out, but we should do a team where we go on the road, because I think it would be we won't make any money. I'll tell you that. We'll probably get kicked out a lot, and we'll probably be
Wait, is Matt Bell Scotsman Matt?
Yes.
Yeah.
Okay, never mind. I know who the fuck you're talking about now. Okay.
So yeah, getting back to the whole...
Yeah, I purposely avoid conversations with that guy in them.
Yeah, isn't he pure evil?
He's just a prick.
Yeah. He reminds me of who's that other dick? Darwin's Dickety Dog.
Darwin's deity. Yeah, let me get
Do you
Tony.
talk? Do you talk?
Tony, hold
Sorry,
on.
go on.
Tony, you need a link. Are you in Hangouts, Tony Vincenzio?
Who the fuck is he in the mafia? Tony Vincenzio.
That is a pretty baller Italian name.
That is Max. Max,
Like,
do you do?
like D'Amico's not. Come on.
Oh,
I'm not saying it isn't.
sorry. That is D'Amico is actually a Newfoundlander name.
Is it?
Yeah.
That's not true. If it was a Newfoundlander name, you would be able to pronounce it.
All right, that's true. That is totally true.
I was gonna say
You can't fuck with the Max. Max knows all this shit.
Mhm.
So, do you do the JD Kane show still, Max?
I haven't done that one in a while. Although since Debbie was in the last one, I think I should have been in that. That seemed very lousy.
Well, what happened?
So in the last one, Debbie, who's how do I describe her? So she's a flat Earth proponent and an
Okay.
anti-vaxxer,
Right.
and well, so that those two things should already, you know, tell you something about her. And throughout all of it, it was just face-palmingly terrible. At one point, she even admitted that if somebody said China didn't exist, in order to alleviate that skepticism, she said she would have to get on a plane and fly over there.
So the point was for viewership. He had that on, right? That was for viewership.
Oh, I know. I mean, it's essentially a freak show kind of thing. These are people who are so ridiculously silly that you wouldn't run into them in your daily life, but you just have to see them.
So is he having a somebody smoking during the
Yep.
show?
Hell yeah, I am. Woohoo! Smoke weed.
Jesus
I thought
Christ.
this was. No, I'm done. I'm smoking a cigarette.
Hey, Tony.
Hey, what's up, guys?
It's not good for you, sir.
I know.
All right, so is has JD just got freaks on, or is that was it a one-offer?
Well, by freaks, we mean people who are just silly and ridiculous.
Yeah.
Yeah, he usually brings on silly and ridiculous people, or if he's not doing that, he's essentially poning or responding to silly and ridiculous people. Or sometimes he delves into drama between people in the so-called GDC or Great Debate community.
Right.
Talk about JD Kane?
Yes.
Yeah, that's what it's called, Talking Shit Tuesday for a reason.
Yeah, but before he used to have really cool hangouts. I used to watch them all the time.
Yeah, Tony, I muted you because you got a lot of background noise there.
Yeah, you're trying to find a lighter.
Sorry about that.
Sounds like he's an airline pilot. Is he, Tony,
my
are
Nissan
you,
Rogue's my airplane.
are you in a plane right now?
No, I have to. I'm gonna disconnect from the actual speakers in my car. I think that's the problem.
Oh, great. He's driving and smoking. He's driving and smoking.
And masturbating.
And
Don't-
masturbating.
don't
That's
kill
what I
yourself.
do. That's what I do. I usually do that on the 401 because it's such a boring trip. And the
Put my
kids
feet
just
outside the
yell at me.
window.
They just yell at me like, "Stop it, Dad! Stop it!" And
Oh god.
so, Tony, you don't sound Italian at all. What's your full name?
Tony Vincenzio.
And you're Italian?
Yeah. Well, I'm like Irish Italian.
Oh
Spanish.
shit,
Got a
that's a
little Spanish in
mess.
me. Yeah.
The Italians and the Irish did not get along. I talked to a guy about that last night, St. Patrick's Day. He was like, I was like, the Italians and Irish did not like each other. So if you were to marry I'm like, I don't know if your mom or dad, which one was which, but families really hated that.
My wife's Irish and Italian also. Her last name's Manu.
What?
What?
You broke up.
He's drinking.
Italians, from what I remember, Italians and the Irish have always been at war over this very central issue. What's better to get drunk off of, whiskey or wine?
Oh, I can't imagine either one. Well, the Italians would think the wine.
Yeah.
But, you know.
Well, I don't. Just whiskey is just. I don't drink, so. But why Italians and Irish didn't get along is when the Italians came over. First, the Irish came, then the Italians came, and what happened was is the Irish got all like good jobs, like cops, and they got good jobs. So the Italians couldn't get those jobs. So that's why there was that hatred of the two.
Yeah, there's a lot of that specific to the United States.
Gangs in New York.
Gangs in New York. That's right.
Gangs in New York.
That was a great movie.
Oh hell yeah, it was.
All right. Well, let's.
With that guy's name. What's that guy's name? The main actor, not DiCaprio, the good actor. He's a butcher.
Oh yeah, he played Bob the Butcher. He always acts, and then he retires, and he makes $10 million.
They'll come out like an epic movie, and then he'll retire. And
he is a fucking one of the best movies I've ever seen him in is There Will Be Blood.
Yes, I was just gonna say my milkshake straw goes all the way over here and goes into yours.
Yeah, and that was totally ad-libbed. He added that. The directors wanted something for that, and he thought of that.
Best line.
Yeah, it was. But have any Max and Dave? Have you seen that movie?
Gangs of New York?
No, There Will Be Blood.
I have not. No.
Oh God!
See, now you're making me want to look the guy up and start doing a binge on his movies.
Yeah, he was in Last of the Mohicans too.
Yeah, he was. He's what the fuck? I can't believe I forgot his name. Holy shit!
Like,
Daniel Day-Lewis.
Daniel Day-Lewis.
Daniel Day-Lewis, yep.
Yeah,
he is my left foot too, right? My right foot, whatever.
Yeah, he is absolutely stunning in There Will Be Blood. You watch that movie and you'll rewind it and rewatch it. It is that good.
Yeah.
No, apparently it's based off.
It's pretty much a true story, kind of too,
So it's apparently based off of a book by Upton Sinclair called Oil.
Yeah. Well, what happened is a lot of people want to know why he was such a mean person, or why he became the way he did. And if you watch the beginning of what happened, the accident that happened to him, where both of his legs got broken and he had to crawl into town. I mean, he realized that is one of the reasons why he became so tough and so mean towards others, is because of that. Just that no one really gives a fuck about you. And Quentin Tarantino does a great review of the movie, talking about that part, why he became such a mean-spirited person.
Yeah, good character assessment.
Yeah,
he does a lot of these gritty things too. Like he did Lincoln recently in 2012.
I haven't seen that yet.
And he does he does a lot of stuff where he appears as himself.
What a gig, though, eh? Wouldn't you want to? I would love to be a fucking movie star and just whip out my dick on the red carpet and just go suck it.
Right.
And then everybody that won, no one would give a shit. They would just go, Vito D'Amico showed his dick. He was just a fucking idiot. He just showed his dick off. Like what? Like I would take it away from everybody.
There's a new music video out by a rapper named Little Dicky. It's called Freaky Friday.
Right.
The premise is he switches bodies with Chris Brown. And there's actually one hilarious scene where Little Dicky in the body of Chris Brown does just that. He takes off his pants in public and he's like, oh shit, this is my dream dick right here. Because Little Dicky's a white Jewish guy and he gets this BBC. So
Oh, and then what was I gonna? Chris Brown is nuts. Is it Chris Brown? Who's the one
And
that?
Rihanna.
the breathing ground, yeah, that's the one.
Yeah, he's crazy. But who's the guy that married the chick with a fat ass and he thinks it's
Rihanna.
Kanye.
Kanye? He's nuts. That guy is clearly he is just stupid. Like
Yeah, but
he's
he used to make
smart.
some rhymes.
That's it. But
Here's my
it's like
theory.
if
I-
that guy didn't make rhymes, trust me, he'd be at the 7-Eleven.
Yeah, he would. He would.
Definitely he would. But there's actually a pretty interesting theory laid out by Joe Rogan about Kanye. It's that it's really the fault of the Kardashians, because think about it like this: they seem to be having some kind of streak about turning relatively normalish people into wackos. Like Kanye, what was the worst thing he ever?
Yeah, right. Look at Jenner.
He was always a fucking. Remember that girl that won the award and he jumps up on stage like an idiot?
Yeah.
That was yeah, but
yeah.
that is true, but that was only a one-off kind of instance. After he hooked up with Kim Kardashian, it's been one kind of ridiculous
Max,
thing
he
after
went on
another.
national TV during 9/11 and said, why does the president hate white people? And you see Mike Myers do a double take.
Well, no, he says George Bush hates black people, and that was actually a pretty common sentiment in the black community. I don't think he was saying anything that would have, given his context, been weird.
I don't know. I don't know. The guy seems fucking not balanced to me. And for him to marry the girl, like, would you marry a girl that got nailed by, like, there's a video of some guy
Right.
like he's like he's all proud of it. He's like, now I'm making a video with her, and I'm like, dude, everybody could see some guy's fucking dick slamming your wife's ass. I'm like, that's what you're happy about that? No, I'm sorry, Max. Kanye's a fuck up.
Max really likes Kanye.
He's sticking up for him. I don't know why he's sticking up for him. That's what Max does. He's one of those fucking what scares me about Max could never be in the Inquisition. He would be the worst guy. I'd be like, Max, we got to take his fucking head off. And Max would be like, no, we let's give him a second chance. I'm like, no, Max, the rules are he doesn't believe, his head has to come off. And Max would be like, oh, well, he'll come up with some philosophical bullshit to confuse me. And then by that time, they will be taken off with their horses. And I'll look at Max and I'll go, Max, why the fuck did you do that? And you'd be like, I don't know. And then you'll come up with some other philosophical bullshit. And then I got to go back to the Pope and explain to him. And then I'm the one that's going to get in trouble.
Actually, the Inquisition was considered by the church, was actually considered to be the more lax or liberal form of judgment when you compared it to local mobs and even secular ruling authorities at the time.
See, this is what he would tell me as I was trying to kill the family. Like, this is what he would say. And I'd be like, Max, I need to concentrate right now. And he'd be saying this, and I'd be like, for fuck's sakes, just go. Please, people, just leave. Please. I got to have a conversation with Max by myself about when we kill people, for him not to speak to me, because oh, God, I got this horrible cold. Hey, who's done heroin?
No, never touch the stuff.
Not on your life.
I bet you, Max, would you do heroin for $1 million? One time only.
That's the problem right there.
Okay,
yeah.
Stop it, David, please. Just let.
No, I'm not going to stop it, because if you had $1 million, what could you possibly do with $1 million after taking some heroin?
Buy more heroin, but yeah,
exactly.
I would not do it for $1 million.
$2 million, Max. $2 million.
No.
Well, if you've taken painkillers for anything that's pretty much heroin.
That's what I would say to him. I would say, Max,
come on, man. Everyone's doing it.
It's painkillers, and he's gonna go, no, it isn't. And I'm gonna go, Max, just
Just do it.
Just do it.
Make
And
it happen.
stop being a baby. We all do it. If I do some, will you do some?
Yeah, but that's medicinal.
That's what I would tell him. I would say this is
It's
medicinal.
spiritual. It's total
Yes.
spiritual.
I mean,
We're gonna fly like we did at the Iron Maiden concert.
Here we go.
And we're not gonna make out. Yeah, we're not gonna make out just before you fly. That can go away. That happened one time only. So let that go.
That sounds romantic, though.
technically, that wouldn't be medicinal. It would be more for entertainment or personal enjoyment.
Do you guys usually hang out in the politic room or?
Yeah, we're usually in the war room, we call it. We're
Gotcha.
usually plotting to destroy J.D. Kane.
But we can't fight in the war room.
We will destroy him.
I don't know. I don't think you can destroy J.D. King because he doesn't give a fuck.
Who said there's no fighting in the war room?
Oh, I'm trying to remember the name of the movie.
Did you say that, Max?
Yeah, I did.
That was Dr. Strangelove. That was fantastic. Yeah. Well done, Max.
Thank you.
I love that movie. That's one of my favorite movies. You can't fight in a war room.
Yeah.
That's a Stanley Kubrick classic.
That it is. It was one of my favorite movies when I had to watch. I was assigned it in a film class, and I really enjoyed it.
My God, I laughed so hard in that movie. You know, another movie that if you haven't seen, The Producers, watch that movie, the original, The Producers, and you'll laugh so hard.
I might have actually watched that movie.
With Zero Mostel and Gene Wilder.
The 1960s. Oh,
the black and white
version now.
Watch that one. Watch the one with Zero Mostel. It's not black and white. It's in color, and it's with Gene Wilder and Zero Mostel. And if you get a chance to watch, a funny thing happened on the way to the forum today. That's a great movie too.
Will do.
Tony, your radio, would you turn that fucking thing, either turn it up or turn it down? If it's a good tune, that's it. It was a shit tune, so he turned it off.
Yep. Oh, my daughter's looking up how to kill mice.
Have you ever watched The Cabinet of Dr. Caligari?
Say again?
There's this old, really good German expressionist movie, The Cabinet of Dr. Caligari.
No, I've never heard of that. The Cabinet of Dr. Caligari. Can you put that on the... You know what? On Facebook, can you send me that title or else I'll forget it, please? And I will look it up and watch it.
It's a 1920 movie, and you can actually find it on YouTube. It's pretty good. And it has this fantastic jazz soundtrack.
From the 1920s?
Yeah, it's a silent movie, but it's very good.
But if it's jazz, how the fuck do you hear anything?
Oh, so with silent movies, what happened was they would put the dialogues in boxes between scenes, and music would usually be playing while the movie was rolling.
Okay, all right.
Yeah.
Tony thought that was funny. That was good.
Yeah, I got it.
Tony got it. He knew what I was going with. All right, so let's do a topic. What do you guys want to talk about?
Do you guys want to talk about the Lawrence Krauss stuff?
Sure, let's do that. I think he's guilty of sin. How about you?
What happened?
Lawrence Krauss. All right, you explain it because I've talked enough. Go on.
Okay, so originally a BuzzFeed article came out where they published that there are 3 incidences where Lawrence Krauss was behaving in a sexually inappropriate manner. On one occasion, it involved him asking out a college student to dinner. On another occasion, it involved him inviting a woman to his room, and apparently she says that he tried to forcibly remove her clothes. And on the third occasion, apparently him and his wife propositioned a woman on a cruise for a threesome.
What? I didn't ever heard
He's
that.
a freak then. Okay. Yeah, he's like, I got money, I'm a nerd, I didn't get laid in high school. I'm getting laid.
Yeah.
A
Well,
little aggressive with it though.
yeah. Since then, though, there have actually been other accusations directed at him because a lot of people have been distrustful of the BuzzFeed article because it's BuzzFeed.
Right.
Right. So, for example, Jerry Coyne, who's himself a biologist and a good friend of Krauss, or was a good friend of Krauss, but he's also a very anti-theistic person. He's very deep in the atheist community. So, unlike BuzzFeed, he can't really be blamed for trying to destroy movement atheism. Um, what he had said was that he's actually known 3 separate incidences where women have said that Krauss was committing some kind of creepy behavior. He didn't want to publish any names, but he said that as a way of verifying what happened. And have you guys ever heard of Christina Rad?
I've heard of her, yeah.
Yeah, or she used to go by "Oh my God, it's Chris." She's actually said that when she met Lawrence Krauss at an event in Europe, he actually put his leg in her inner thigh underneath her miniskirt while they were at a bar. So
Wait a minute. So did this come out today?
that actually came out a couple of days ago. She actually released a video. It was one of the few times on her channel because she's an frequent poster now, but she's actually told the story herself.
The flat earthers gotta love this.
Yep. Well, I mean, here's the thing. Just because someone's creepy doesn't mean they're wrong.
Yeah.
No, well, I mean, this is the problem. That's a huge problem. The thing that bothered me about Krauss, we'll get back to those sexual allegations in a second, which is really weird because I interviewed Kay Parker today, who was that famous porn star that did Taboo about sleeping with her son, and it was a porno back in the 1980 or something.
Yeah,
or
John Holmes era.
yeah. So what happened is Krauss said something on stage, which I know Krauss is a brilliant man. He's a million times smarter than me, but he said something that I have to disagree with, and I thought was the absolute dumbest, fucking, most disgusting thing I've ever heard. He said, he goes now, and he was debating, what is that man's name? Anyways, he was debating,
Torsies?
William Lane Craig.
that's it. He was debating him, and he says, hey, what if a brother and sister love each other and they're consenting adults and they both agree to use protection and have sex? Is it wrong? Would that be wrong to do that? You know, who am I to say that's wrong? And I'm like, buddy, are you like, maybe
Yeah.
you're too smart for your own good. I think you know, with you knowing about something coming out of nothing, but that is one of the most disgusting things I've ever heard somebody say on stage.
Yeah, if she wasn't my daughter, I'd have sex with her type of crazy.
If a brother and sister have sex, he's saying if a brother and sister have sex and they're consenting adults and they wear protection, who am I to say that, you know, that's wrong? And I'm like, buddy, that's disgusting.
You really said that? That's crazy.
I'm not making that up. Okay, I am not making that up. He said that. Okay, if you look up William Lane Craig and in a debate with him and Krauss, he said that, and it was one of the most disgusting things I've ever heard somebody say. And nobody, like,
what was the reaction?
The reaction was normal. I was the only guy sitting at home going, "What the fuck?" I went back and had to listen to it a few times. I'm like, "What the fuck are you talking about?" I'm like, does this guy not have a sister? I have a sister. I would never dream of fucking. I love my sister, but I wouldn't sleep with her. You fucking. That's just sick.
I love what you said about maybe he's too smart for his own good, because that is a phenomenon that has emerged from time to time The guys who were in charge of the Manhattan Project, some of the scientists there, when they became sick, they actually didn't bother seeing doctors. They thought if they were smart enough to, go into nuclear physics, well, they're smart enough to understand medical textbooks. Those are very easy in comparison. And um, and I think this kind of thing happens among scientists. They're smart enough to know tensor calculus, but as soon as you think you know that, you know how to do philosophical argumentation or moral ethical thinking, and suddenly you think that stuff becomes easy. I mean, after all, I think Krauss probably thinks of morality in a very basic, consequentialist way. Oh, well, as long as it doesn't produce stuff I don't like, then I can't really see anything wrong with it. I think that's how most people like to think of ethics, or at least have a basic understanding of it. But it becomes weird when you remember that, yeah, sometimes rights exist, and that's regardless of the consequences. I mean, if somebody, if you knew that you could save 10,000 lives by shutting down any speech associated with being critical of Islam, I wouldn't do it, because I recognize that free speech is a right that comes, no matter the consequences. Sometimes rights are there not because we recognize that people have a right to
and
do
sometimes
something.
they're just there to be challenged. Yeah. Yep.
Well,
It doesn't matter the
I
consequences.
know what you're saying, Max, but I do think he's a very smart man, but I just think that what he said was disturbing, to say the least. And
It's very disturbing. We
it was.
lost.
I'm not. I
We
swear to
just
you.
lost a viewer because we're talking about this, and it's not even us we're talking about.
Yeah, they must be Lawrence Krauss. They must think that we hate Lawrence Krauss. I don't hate the man. I just thought what he said, that one thing that he said,
Absolutely, he's great.
absolutely, I thought was just disgusting.
It
Okay.
is.
Now, if you don't like that, then again, I mean, whatever. If you're into that type of shit, whatever, man. I won't even make any Alabama jokes because I will offend fucking people from Alabama. So I just think if that is something that you believe, again, maybe you're too smart. You're not thinking love the way, like, if it's true that he is propositioning women, then he is thinking sex as in we're just fucking. There's no love there. It's just me taking a piss.
Yep.
So that's how he may. If that is true, then that's the only way. Because I've interviewed swingers, and um they really don't see a problem with it. They're just like, we're just fucking.
Yeah, because in reality, it's not a problem. As long as they don't have a problem.
Yeah, if two people agree to have sex, and whatever, more power to them. Now, when I know a person who was married, and they were both swingers, and of course they're not married anymore. And I'm like, you know what? And I've said this before, if you're a swinger, uh, you don't really love your spouse or husband or whatever. I mean, to have your this is my opinion. If you are into having them screwing other people, I just think that's just disgusting. I couldn't be with my wife if she was with somebody else. That's just me. If you're
Yeah.
into that, that's your deal. Okay, you're more than welcome to enjoy that. But me personally, I could never look at that person exactly the same. I mean, when I broke up with a girl and I found out after that she slept with some other guy, I never, like, we weren't even together, and I never respected her again after. I never looked at her the same way. And we weren't even together. I just thought, you mean we broke up and within 2 weeks you're fucking some other guy? I was like, you know what? No. So so with Krauss, with all this stuff coming out, I mean, you hope it's not true, but when I saw Sam Harris say he was supposed to be on a podcast today and he's not going to be on a podcast, To me, that was weak. I would be like, if I was Sam Harris, I'd be like, you're my buddy. If Max did a Lawrence Krauss deal, I'd be like, you're my buddy. Do you want to be on? Yes or no? And because I want you on as a guest, okay? And you can. The problem is that what Krauss has to do now is, because with all these people coming out and saying that all this shit happened, is his lawyer and lawyers are telling him not to say shit.
Oh, he should jump ahead of it and say, I've got a sex problem, because more
No,
stuff's
we
gonna
don't
come
even
out.
know that. Like, I'm like, we're putting like, to say
Oh yeah.
he's guilty before,
Well,
I'm not saying he's guilty. I just think that, I mean, when you have that many women, it's the same thing with and I don't know how he got off.
Cosby.
Cosby. I have no idea how he got off. But when you have that many women saying that he did this and nothing gets done, it's
It was
kind
over
of,
20 years. That's what.
yeah. But you got that many women, you should reopen the case, for fuck's sakes. Like, you got that many women. It's not like we're talking what was it? Over 40 women?
Yeah, I mean,
78 of them, I think.
well,
Yeah.
I mean, what was the most recent one? Because if there was something within what is it, 20 years, then it can be open for trial, could it not?
Yeah.
Yeah, but some of these women were, God, like, we're talking 30 years ago, some of these
We're
women.
talking about Jello pudding pop era.
Yeah, okay, and like, I agree. If it was that far back, then I wouldn't reopen the case, because there is a reason why there is a reason why there is a period of time, because the human memory is very fragile. It
Sure,
misremembers
sure,
things.
but when you have
Well,
everyone saying the same thing, then
oh,
it's not one or two women here. We're talking. I swear to you, I think it was well over 40 women.
oh no, I agree. My point is that even if you have like 200 women, if we were to make an exception here because of the quantity of witnesses, then in my mind, that allows for a precedence where over time you might require less and less and less witnesses. Like, I think that it should stand out as a rule for a reason. When you tend to make an exception of one thing, then over time it opens itself up to more exceptions.
well, it's called slippery slope at that point.
Well,
That's what that's called. If you don't have that's the problem with lack of evidence, basically.
Yeah, you got to have evidence, and that's what sucks. And I think, the thing that I feel bad for these women, and I see the interview, and I watch these interviews, and I don't want to get.
Did you hear his response? Do you know he wrote a written response, right?
No,
Yep.
I didn't know that.
Yeah,
I did.
he did. He did. Let me post that in the chat here. We can actually read that if you want to online here, but it's kind of it's lengthy, but basically he's saying that he's basically saying BuzzFeed kind of did a number on him, set him up basically, and
Well, you know what, like, I watch the women, and like, some are very successful women. It's not like they're just people off the street, and that shouldn't make a difference. But some of these women are very successful, and just watching them cry.
well, but
I mean, you just sit there and go, you can't be lying. That's not fake tears.
But you can't convict on tears either. You can't convict on appeals to emotion. You just can't. That's
I know, but it's still, you kind of go, like, if that was me, I would believe the woman, because I would say, either you're an amazing actress, and maybe one or two or three or four or five or six or seven or eight or nine and 10 of you can get away with that. But when you have well over 40 some odd of you bawling your brains out and you tell the exact same creepy story,
Yeah, it's hard.
then it's kind of, because I didn't believe it. My favorite comic growing up, my first album I bought, okay,
George
was
Carlin?
was I wasn't allowed to. It was
Cosby family one.
Cosby. It was
Yeah,
Cosby, because
yeah.
me and my dad would sit there and we'd laugh our brains out
Me
listening to
too. Me
Cosby.
too. Yeah.
And
yeah.
he was the number one comic. So it broke my heart when I would hear this stuff. And I was like, you know, after the 11th woman, I was like, no, it's bullshit, you know. And then number 12 will come out, and then I went and watched the special of these women talking about what was going on, and the way they cried, and the way, you know, the hell you could see, like the fucking hell these women went through, and you just feel for them. And I'm like, no, these women aren't lying, man. You know, they're not lying.
Well, yeah, and that's
The way I feel. You know,
it's a tricky thing. It really is, because
we don't convict on feelings, we convict on facts.
at the same time, you don't necessarily ignore them. Like, look at what has happened to Lawrence, because I mean, if you look at those stories, like ASU was put on paid leave, and ASU suspends, and ASU,
What's ASU?
Arizona State University.
Okay. They suspended him?
Oh yeah.
They did.
Well, then that's very serious, man.
Yeah, I mean, they're taking it seriously. It's not like they're ignoring the whole thing, and you know, there's other stuff that's going on with it. It's not just that. It's there was some other professional organization banned from campus.
Nambla.
No, there was nothing about NAMBLA. Are you kidding me?
Yeah, I was joking.
By the way, I actually showed a picture of. I actually showed the article to a friend of mine. She doesn't know anything about Lawrence Krauss other than this. And when I told her about it, she was like, "Oh, that man looks like a very sad penguin." I'm like, "Damn, that's actually kind of true."
Yeah, it is. It's like
He does look.
Well, I don't give a fuck what somebody looks like. If you're doing these things, and if it's true, you need to go to jail. Now,
Yeah.
if he is proven not guilty, and it's all bullshit, and I feel horrible for the guy, okay? Because that is a horrible thing to do to somebody. I mean, they did the same thing with again, an interview I did, and it's with Michael Rue and a woman who followed the Davies, her name was. She followed the John Ghomeshi trial. And if you guys don't know about John Ghomeshi, in Canada, John Ghomeshi was a big name. He had a big radio show. He was huge. This guy made, you know, over $1 million a year.
And then he was accused of sexual assault by 4 women.
Yes, and it turned out they were lying.
Yep, and we knew they were lying because we had evidence that they colluded with one another beforehand.
Yes.
Now, if it was the case that these women colluded with each other, I would, or they had prior association with each other, and some of them did. Like a few of them.
Max, they need to go to jail. These women, they've ruined his career. They
should get that time. They should get
definitely
years. Fuck it.
Oh, but someone's actually tried to make this kind of case about Lawrence Krauss. The women that have been accusing him seem to belong to the same kind of SJW wing of the atheist movement. Now, there were a few of them mentioned. I think the woman who accused Krauss of taking off her pants, Emma Watson, was actually named in there as well, although she never accused Krauss.
My God.
Emma Watson?
How do you let someone take off your
Emma
pants?
Watson. Emma, what's her name? You know,
Emma Stone.
Emma, not Emma.
Isn't she Emma Watson? Isn't she?
No, never mind. She's not a. No, I'm actually trying to think. She's this feminist in the atheist community. Glasses, wrote on Free Thought blogs.
Oh shit.
No, I know who you're talking about.
She
I
has
know
big.
who
She
you're
has big
talking
tits.
about. I don't like her.
Neither do I, but she was mentioned in the article as well.
She made a video on YouTube about the whole thing, and I don't trust anything that comes out of that woman's mouth. I think the problem is when you have somebody like that, I think sometimes they could do more damage than good. I say let the police do their job, and then, you have people, I mean, like us, we're sitting here, we don't know the facts, and we're not saying he's guilty or he's not. All we could go is say, hey, this is what, yeah, this is the story. This is what's out there. Were we there?
You
No.
just Jax, Jesus.
I'm sorry. Say again. With Tony, say again.
Oh, I'm sorry. I'm cutting my dog's hair and he keeps on moving. I'm sorry. His
Oh,
name's
okay.
Jax.
No,
I'm like, will you stop moving, Jax?
it sounds like when I'm having sex with my wife. So, with Krauss, the problem is he's a big name, and if this brings him down, this looks bad for the atheist community, because you know that Christians or anybody is just going to say, "See, this is what
Yeah, morality.
happens." Yeah, morality. And when he said about that whole thing about, you could screw your sister, I'm like, what the fuck is your morality? Like, that's not morality. That's just common sense, Lawrence. Like, what the fuck? What Kool-Aid have you been drinking,
Yeah,
man?
and when you're a star, you have to uphold a certain.
Guys, I want you to look
stature,
that up. I'm not making that up. And the crowd does not behave like, if that was me, I'd yell out, what the fuck did you just say?
Yeah,
Like,
I know. I can verify he did say this. I actually thought it was Hamza Tories, not in the William Lane Craig debate, but yeah, Krauss has said similar things. Even Richard Dawkins has said stupid shit similar to it. He's in a tweet. Dawkins actually said that sooner or later we'll have human meat grown in laboratories.
is
Like
that
we have.
true? Is that true?
Scientists Mel and PZ Myers have actually talked about that. So yeah, it's
Yeah.
quite possible.
Ah,
Yeah.
Jesus fucking Christ. That doesn't help
So
anything.
they actually had
And-
the ethics of cannibalism. Yeah.
And Dawkins said, "What's going to win out at the end? Consequentialist ethics or icky-based morality?"
Oh my God. See what I mean? Sometimes you're too smart to know you're way too smart. I remember, what's his name? He's been in the news a lot. He won't use the pejorative about a girl calling a girl a boy, or what I'm talking about. Patterson, Jordan Peterson. He said, he
I was
believed.
just watching his stuff before this. I was just watching his.
Everyone's watching his
Love
stuff.
his stuff. He's great.
He said about, what's his name, the guy that eats the human meat. He said about him, he says he believes that something must have happened to him when he was younger in church. A priest must have not sexually molested him or did anything, must have yelled at him or something, or because he hates the church with such a passion. And I'm like, well, maybe something happened. I mean, I had nuns beat the shit out of me. It doesn't mean I kind of turned me on after. I have to pay a dominatrix every Friday, a lot of money. So,
It just costs money now.
but I think sometimes you're too smart for your own good. And when he said human meat to him, he just treats it as, you're just meat. That's all we are, right? So what's the big problem of just eating another human? Where I would find that, and I hope you guys do, repulsive.
I don't know why anybody who doesn't find that
Tony's
repulsive.
But that's what I mean, David. We have guys that we like. I used to look up at Krauss, and I used to look up, and I still do to some level, Dawkins, because of his work. But when he says stuff like that to me, I'm sorry, it brings him down a notch. It really does to me.
It does.
It kind of. I just sit there and go, "What are you thinking, man?"
Well, I think a lot of it goes to them. They're trying to make a point with.
Yes, but it's a stupid point.
but it not necessarily, because when they talk about those things, I don't think they're actually advocating for those practices. Like, they're not advocating for cannibalism. They're saying
Situation.
situationally, why don't we do that? Because we live in an environment of excess. We live in an environment where we could literally feed the world right now if we wanted to, as a species.
I call bullshit on that
White people.
interpretation.
Yeah, I do too, because I think no, you don't bring up humans. What the fuck is next? We make farms. I mean, we make farms of humans that can't pay their rent, and then
Soylent Green.
you lose your arm if you don't pay your rent.
Well, and that's what it boils down to, is what is morality. And
They were being provocative about morality conversation and all that.
Well, and that's what they do. That's what they do. They like to be provocative about morality, because everybody tries to say, well, they have the moral high ground. Religion likes to say it, and people who are atheists like to say it, and everybody tries to say they have it. And the reality is, it's totally subjective to the society at that point in time.
I disagree with a subjective notion of morality.
Well, I was just stating their point of view. I'm not trying to say either way if it's subjective or not. And I know you would argue that point, Max, because A, you're Catholic. B,
even when I was actually, here's a story. When I was an atheist,
I thought he was Polish, but that's
all I know is he looks like the.
Sorry, Max. Go on.
Oh,
I cut off Max. Go on.
So when I was an atheist, I actually still believed in some kind of an objective-based morality. But one of the things that really kind of got me was I was actually taking an anthropology course first semester of university. And the professor in that class actually said, "Why is incest wrong? Why is it wrong?" And I'm like cousins getting married. I'm like, well, it's wrong because, that leads to genetic deformity. And then he was like, yeah, actually, no, it doesn't as much as we think. It only really comes out like, yeah, I know. I didn't really have any figures to cite at first, but
beat the fuck out of him out in front of his sab. You should have said, "What the fuck are you talking about? You're my teacher. You're an idiot."
It was just a question. It's a thought experiment. It's not necessarily.
But
he's not advocating it, Vito. Relax.
No, I
would still hit him just for that.
We got a volatile room in here.
Honestly, sometimes when people say that, morality is really subjective, and there's no real fact to it, sometimes I'm like, if I beat you right now, you'd probably call the cops. You'd be pretty pissed off, and you'd sure act like it was a thing. But
of course,
putting that to the side.
But that doesn't make it any less subjective, Max.
Here's the thing. It's kind of like somebody saying that the external world doesn't exist. Like they're the only true mind in the universe. Yeah, I mean, you can make up some kind of narrative where that's the truth. You can believe it, but when you act and interact with the world, you're acting like minds exist. And in any case, my point was, one of the things that slowly started waning, one of the first things that made me really reflect philosophically was the question of morality and ethics. And that was really a question that I didn't feel I got a solid answer to until I started studying philosophy. Even when I became a theist, the question of morality still kind of plagued me, and I didn't feel like I had a solid answer until I really studied it in depthly. And it's a hard subject, but I honestly think that people do themselves a disservice when they think that based off of no study of the subject at all, they can instantaneously come to obvious. They can say that these counterintuitive notions are just true and out there without having to argue for them. Like, oh, anyone who disagrees with eating human flesh grown in laboratories is just basing it off some icky moral notion. No, not really. The fact of the matter is that stuff is considered wrong because you're treating something which should be sacred, whether it's grown in a lab or not, the human body, as if it was some animal, as if it was just one
But
do
then
do you think he's saying it that we like what's the difference between us and animals? We are animals? Is that like what he was trying to say?
that would be my question, though. That would be like, why is it sacred? I mean, what is it that makes it sacred other than it's the same species as me?
Well, I mean, a couple of things. The first thing is, even being a part of the same species as you, there is some kind of there's some kind of importance in being members of the same species, just like there is being a member of the same family.
Sure, like One Lies Lion outside says moral relative. It puts that in perspective.
Well, moral relativism, strictly speaking, is saying that there are no moral absolutes. Not necessarily that there aren't circumstances where something can be right in one circumstance that can't be wrong in another. It's just saying there are some principles.
Have we all read Moby Dick, the original book by Moby Dick? Okay, so Moby Dick was about, these guys got, when the whale attacked the ship, these guys spent almost a year on a little boat together, and one by one they were dying, and they ended up eating one another, and I believe only 6 men or 5 men survived. They came back nuts because they had to eat people.
Yeah, you get that kuru too. You get a brain disorder.
I mean, you're eating another. It's different than when people go, you're eating a cow. I feel bad. And my daughter the other day, driving to Toronto, she doesn't eat meat because she sees, I remember her seeing pigs in a. I'll be real quick. Pigs inside a tractor trailer. And she saw the pig looking out, and you could see that pig is the first time that pig's going to the slaughterhouse. And my daughter asked me, and I told her the truth. And she said to me, "Dad, I'm not eating meat anymore." And I thought she was joking. And this is when she was 10. And she's never eaten pork since. My father won't eat pig because when he was a small boy in Italy, these idiots beat a pig to death with a crowbar when he was a little boy, and it screamed, and my father was traumatized. So my father will not touch pork because of that. He said it was the worst thing he's ever seen in his life. So and they're not even Jewish, these people, when he talks about farming humans, that like I get that's the future or whatever, but not my future. Sorry, that's not for me. I just don't. I just the whole idea of eating, and I don't care if Max says it's sacred. I don't think it's sacred. I just think you're eating another fucking human being.
Right, and that's where it gets kind of buggy with me. It's like, hey,
Jesus,
it's not an actual person. It's not a whole person. It doesn't have to be.
Even when you kill somebody, they're no longer a person. That's a corpse. But the only point I'm trying to make.
But they were never alive, Max. That's the point. This thing that they're growing, it's human DNA, it's human cells, but it's never been a whole person.
But who's to say?
It's never felt like you or me.
What's the next evolution to that? Because I've heard that China, where they find people that need transplants, that if you go to jail, that they will. There was a study on people going to jail and having their livers taken or their kidney, or and I mean that's human farming.
Yeah, no ask, no tell. There, hey, when I say how you got it, just give it to me. It's crazy.
When I say sacred, I don't mean something mystical and out there. I just mean inherently deserving of respect.
Okay, well I do understand that point. At that point,
right.
I do understand it.
I get what you were saying, Max. I get what you're saying. So, all right. So let's get back to Lawrence Krauss being a perverted pig. So did these girls? How many women have come out and said that? Uh, and has this been out in the last couple of days, like 2 days now?
Oh, the article came out about a week and a half ago, but the women, but the most recent updates to it, they've come out within the last week. The Christina Rad video I posted 2 days ago.
See, the problem is the only way you're going to know of sexual, if anything happened, is if it was videotaped. I'm sorry, or if there was a video to go with it, because
And why
you
wouldn't they if it was
once once a girl goes into a room, Lawrence Krauss is a star, and
Exactly.
I if I was him, I would have my tassels up at all time. I would never invite a girl to my room. I would never, because I would know what would happen. Okay. As much as, I'm not saying you can't trust people, but you got to be a little smart. I mean, I would invite a girl to my room if Dave and Max were there, so they would know that I didn't do anything, you know. It's just I would never ever invite a girl to my room. I mean, there was that story years ago where I think it was what was it? Michael Shermer had sex with some girl, and the guy didn't mind because Dusty Smith said this. He said, "What atheists get together are really swinging parties." This is what he said. He said because uh, what's his name? Matt Delahunt's wife wanted to sleep with him. Now I don't know if he was being a dick, but he said no. Like I've messaged him about this, and he said no, for real. She really wanted, like, that's what atheists, when they get together, it's kind of like a swingers club. I'm
Are you
serious.
fucking kidding me?
I'm serious. That's what he said. That's
Does-
he made a video about it, and I was
Yeah.
like, I was like, he goes, well, think about it. When what's his name, Michael Shermer got in
I'm
trouble.
downloading this after this because I want that on record, Vito.
Okay.
Oh, I will find you the video. I have watched the Dusty Smith video.
Yes, I'm not.
I'm talking about this fucking Hangout because
This
I don't
hangout right here, yeah. It's a good one.
if YouTube fucking takes this offline because they say I want it on record. Vito fucking said,
Well,
Dusty
no, I'm
Smith
just telling you,
said,
that's what he made a video about it, saying that his wife came
Right.
that he actually made a video. I'm not making this up.
I
He
know.
made a video about saying that atheists get together. The big thing for them, and I don't believe that part, that they get together for swinging parties. Okay,
Yeah,
but
doesn't happen.
he said that Matt Delahunt's wife came on to him, and he didn't want to have, like, whatever. This is what he said, okay? And
So
and so it's like, I'm just saying what this is what he said. But at the same time, with Michael Shermer, he got himself in trouble years ago by going to some girl's room or inviting the girl back to his room, and there was like this big stink about, she came out yelling that he raped me, and then the boyfriend said no, they never got raped, and then the next day they took a picture of each other. So it was very odd, and it was just an odd thing, and I'm like, what the fuck are these guys doing, man?
Yeah.
Never put yourself in a position where you're, whenever like doing stand up, I'd always have to share a room with another comic. We would never, and we knew enough sense that you would never hook up with a girl at a bar
Hell no, that's tough.
and then invite her back to your room and
by yourself. No.
by yourself. The only way I would fuck another chick is if I knew he was in another room. Okay. Like in another, not in another room, like we had to share a condo, so he would
that's your house, pretty much.
yeah, so if he heard any raping going on, he would know that, hey man, this is what happened. He raped that chick. So that you would like to put yourself in these uh, uh, bad positions. You're putting yourself. I mean, Michael Shermer and all these guys, Krauss, they're all stars, and then you're putting yourself in a stupid situation by inviting women to your room.
It happens when they've been a star for like more than 10 years. They start getting lax. They start getting too comfortable with the situation. You see it happen a lot. You don't hardly ever see like a brand new star get.
No, well, what I saw, what I saw with the girl was that she was saying that he met her at a hair, like she was working. I read the story where the one girl said she was working at a like at a, not a hairspray thing, but for perfume.
As a waitress at the cocktail bar?
No, she was like working at Sears or the Bay, or I don't know what you got in the States.
Retail, gotcha.
So she was working the perfume counter, and he came by saying, "Oh, that smells really nice." And she said, "I'm a big fan." And he said, blah blah blah. And then he wanted to know, hey, are you married or anything like that? And and this girl was really young, and she said in the story she thought that was kind of odd, and she told her boyfriend about that. And then I think a month later he called because he wanted to talk to her about her future in in school. And she thought,
starting to sound dodgy now. Now it's starting to sound like.
Yeah, so it just sounded really weird, and he invited her to his room, and then he wanted her to give a massage, and she didn't really want to.
Why the hell she go to the room?
And then he grabbed her and kissed her on the lips, and she just ran away. So
that's weird. Like, I just couldn't imagine doing that. Like, God,
I can't imagine just randomly kissing someone either. It just, no, this is weird.
Yeah.
No, I could see that. I mean, if you're alone in a room with somebody,
vibing, but Jesus.
And if you have somebody gushing over you going, I think you're the greatest, I think you're amazing, I think you're this, I think it gives you, in your brain, you think, you know what? I could make out with this chick, no problem. And maybe he thought that. Again, this is all, it could be bullshit, but I mean,
yeah, we're speculating big time.
Yeah, it could be speculation, and it could be where Lawrence calls me up going, you fucking prick. How can you say that? And I'm like, whatever, Lawrence. What are you gonna do? I'll beat the fuck. Go fuck your sister, Lawrence. All right, how about that? So, anyways, I think you put yourself in a bad situation anytime you invite women. Like, look at what happened to Mike Tyson. Mike Tyson invited some girl.
She's strong and blonde. She knew exactly what she was.
Have you ever heard of Mike Pence's only dine with men policy?
Yeah. Is that weird? I guess
No,
I've never heard that. Say again.
So Vice President Mike Pence, he got into a lot of trouble like a few months ago, but he said one of the rules he has is when he is eating dinner, he never has it with a woman because he does not want the press to publish anything that would indicate that he's having an affair or drum up drama or something of the like to him.
That's very smart.
It is.
No, I agree it is. But what happened was a bunch of feminists said this is unfair because how are women going to advance under his campaign? Because now the men have this whole advantage.
And on that note.
Yeah, no win situation for him.
No win situation for Vice President Pence, as much as I hate the prick. So anyway, it has been a fun time chilling with Vito. We are going to stop this broadcast because it's 11 o'clock almost, 2 minutes till. And I got to work tomorrow. So yay for me. I got to work. Thank you very much, Vito, for having a show with me. Thank you for the suggestion. Thanks, Tony, for coming on. Thanks,
hey, it was good seeing you, Max, and nice meeting you, Tony. And
nice meeting you too. That was fun, actually.
Yes, and thank you, David, for your time.
Yes.
Hey, no problem. I enjoy having shows. And this is a good one because we've got how many people that we can bring in now? Let's see. I got an excuse to bring in Dusty versus Matt Dillahunty on my channel. You think I got 100 subscribers? I'll have thousands after I do that.
Right.
Well, what happened was hey, don't forget the Wrecking Crew Comedy Podcast. So please,
Fuck, of course not. You'll be right here next to me when I do that interview if I get them here.
no, I want them to check out my interview today that I had with Kay Parker.
Oh yes, definitely. Go over to the Wrecking Crew. Vito D'Amico is the
Put
channel.
that down here, the Wrecking Crew. Hold on.
Can you link it in the side here?
Yeah.
I'll put it out in my channel.
Yeah, could you please? Because if I do that, I'm going to lose everybody. So link it, and because it's a crazy interview, and it is again loopy, but
she is a nut job.
Who is she?
For lack of a better
She
word,
was
Kay Parker.
Kay Parker, a famous porn star from the 70s and 80s.
God, hell yeah! Holy shit!
She's a nut job, guys. She just I don't know, batshit bird white on the lawn, basically.
Yeah. So, anyways, I know it means a lot, and you know what, Max? Thank you so much. I always ask a lot from you. You're a very kind guy. He's a sweetheart. So,
Kind man.
Yeah, we'll try and do one next week. And we'll see what goes on with this Lawrence Krauss thing. I would like to hopefully we get more news about it because I think it's a great topic. And so thanks, guys. I really appreciate it. And thanks, David, for putting this together because I'm an incompetent fuck.
You're all right. We'll have to do more on your channel as far as like live streaming, and we'll go from there because
I already remember what I told you earlier on. So that was bullshit. So
what do you mean?
Well, what I told you with the fucking that stuff earlier before we even started. Think about it.
Oh, that stuff. Yeah.
You gotta show them about the
ridiculous.
Gears. You gotta show them something about the gear too. Don't forget about the gears.
Oh, the gears. Yeah, after we go offline. All right. Later on, folks. Bye.
Later.